Ubisoft Forward brought a few goods, and we pitch our original Battle Royale ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 239 of the It's Obvious podcast. My name's Garrett Drake. I'm joined by Jacob Alka and Jacob Alka alone. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well, my friend. I don't know why I'm over here speaking directly into my microphone. But this is the first week we do not have old Preston Pugh back since we did our little relaunch. But rest assured, people, he will be back. This will not be a regular thing. And
that's what he wants us to think.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, oh, I'm going to the beach for a week, dude. I'll be at the beach. And in reality, he's just long gone.
We never see him again. He's gone. But yeah, he should be back next week. But how we doing, Garrett?
I'm doing all right, Jacob. I'm doing all right.
That's great.
Nothing really to report on, truth be told. I did get to play a video game, I think, this week. No, I got to play two. I got to play some Warzone, 200 players with Zach Bynum, and it was just wonderful. Thoroughly enjoyed myself. Did not win a match, but it was just a lot of fun playing with Zach, so that was cool. And I got to play Halo 3's campaign on PC from the Master Chief Collection. Did a video for COG.
Nice.
And it feels amazing. It's everything I'd hoped it would feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited to play some multiplayer come, I think, Tuesday? Monday? Maybe? I don't know.
Is it not out yet? Was it only the campaign?
It was like an early access campaign thing. I think it actually launches on Monday or Tuesday.
Oh, cool.
But regardless, I'm excited to try some multiplayer. So that was my week, Jacob, in the pandemic of the world. So nothing else whatsoever to say. How was your week?
Nice. I have another question. Or I guess I don't. I just had a point to make. I still have never played through the Halo 3 campaign. Like, I got like halfway through it, and then 5 came out, so I just quit.
Okay.
So,
well,
I played through all of the
Jacob.
rest. What?
The gameplay is, you can sense its age, but the thing about Halo is that I wouldn't even say it's my nostalgic goggles. It's just a different style of first-person shooting gameplay. Very sandboxy. Very cool encounters in the sense where you're not on rails. For example, in the mission I recorded for COG, is one of my favorite missions in the game called The Storm, where a giant Scarab tank enters the battlefield, and the only objective just says to kill it. Doesn't tell you how to kill it. You just have to figure out how to kill it. So that's what's fun about old Halo gameplay, especially in 3, is that they present you with objectives that aren't very clear on what to do. They want you to figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
So in that sense, and like I said, sandbox with the vehicles and the different grenade types and weapons, you can really have some pretty awesome encounters. And the story is just really epic. It's one of my favorite, especially endings to a video game series of all time. Like I've shared, I think everything beyond 3 is just fan fiction.
Yeah.
No disrespect towards 343, but I believe Master Chief's story ended with 3. But if you're ever going to play through it, I'd say now's the time, because I would say PC is, especially as someone who enjoys shooters on PC nowadays, it's the optimal way to experience it. So.
I'll be needing something here to play pretty soon. I know Ghost of Tsushima is coming out soon. So
is that on Friday or is
this week? Yeah.
Cool.
I'm excited.
Very curious to hear the reviews for that.
So I take it you're not.
I'm going to play it for myself, but
yeah, I take it you're not reviewing it.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
So because as we know, like the gameplay demo we saw at State of Play very much looked like Assassin's Creed in Japan, which is not a bad thing, because I know many fans, myself included, have long desired that. But it didn't look like it was much beyond that, aside from just the beautiful setting and sort of their minimal HUD approach they've taken to traversing that world. So there's definitely some unique ideas there. I'm just interested to hear if the grand scheme of things plays out and is fun beyond like a few hours. So
yeah. Well, cool, man. I also played video games this week, and I am going to tell you about it right now, Garrett. Are you ready?
Let's hear it.
I played a little game called The Last of Us Part 2. I put in more hours this week than I did last week. Let's just say that. Still not done, but we're getting there. I think when I last looked at my time played, it was about 22, 23 hours. And you had spoken to me that I probably have a few more hours left. A solid few more hours. So I definitely see the story kind of sort of tailing off to a conclusion, I guess you could say. But yeah, I'm kind of just ready to finish this bad boy because I want to share my thoughts on the game. So I'm sure a few people might want to hear them. Speaking of our thoughts on the game, I think this last week you uploaded our The Last of Us spoiler talk, correct?
I did, yeah. Preston and I shared our very similar opinions in the game, which is not intentional.
I did not watch it, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, he and I definitely share many of the same thoughts, but as we said, we say on the at the end of that review that we're expecting you to have a differing opinion of the game.
Mhm.
Maybe not even drastically, but definitely some different thoughts. So we look forward to hearing that from you.
Yeah.
So I know the community is looking forward to it as well.
For sure. But if for some reason you haven't seen their thoughts on the game, it was at the end of the last podcast episode, and it was also, I think you uploaded a separate YouTube clip, correct? Or just a discussion
by itself on YouTube, and then on our streaming services. If you haven't heard last week's episode, it's at the tail end of that as well.
Cool. So yeah, I'm really enjoying The Last of Us 2 though. Like it's fun to play, especially when I started playing as the second character. I guess you could split it into two halves of the game. The second half has been a lot more fun for me. So just her like, you know, her loadout, her perks, like all that stuff is just really appealing to me, and I love just how it offers a completely different style of play, and it's just, you know, it's fun. So I'm enjoying that, and you know, shocker, I played a little bit more WoW. Not that much this week. Our guild canceled the raids for this week because I think people were like out of town or something. So we didn't raid this week. So because of that, I played a little less, and you know, didn't get any mounts. Sort of like I've gotten a lot of the ones that I was farming, so now I need to like think of new farming spots and start running older raids that I haven't been running to you know, get some more mounts. But you know, I'm kind of getting distracted in other things. But you know, that's pretty much what I did this week in games. Nothing really else to report. I'm really excited about our news this week, though. We got some juicy stuff coming up. But yeah, I hope you're doing well, Garrett, because I am doing well myself. And are you ready to jump into the news?
Let's do it.
So me and you just kind of watched Ubisoft Forward here right before we did the podcast. But I have like a general overview of, you know, the major things that were announced here, and I figured we would just sort of go through each of them and, you know, say what we think about them, what we saw maybe, and if we're interested, you know. So
sounds good to me.
Let's start with what they started with, which was Watch Dogs Legion, coming out October 29th, 2020. I think that's a good time for it. Preferably, I would like it a little earlier. But that's like, I'm not even going to play this game, honestly. But if I was going to, I would want it a little earlier too.
If we're being honest, that's basically November.
Yeah. Well, yeah, basically, yeah. Which Assassin's Creed is also coming out in, and then we have
2 weeks
Cyberpunk.
later.
Is Cyberpunk coming out in September, or is it?
It's November now.
Okay. Yeah, it was September. Okay. Yeah, that's crappy for Assassin's Creed, man. If it's going to be
It's crappy for one or the other because, I mean, granted, they're both two completely different, in a lot of ways, styles of gameplay as well, but it's especially different worlds, which oddly enough, they both take place in England, in different parts of England. But I personally cannot imagine myself playing through two Ubisoft open world games back to back like that.
Yeah.
So I will be choosing one or the other. In this case, it will be Assassin's Creed, which I do think looks pretty cool. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
But the thing is about both of them is that I have not finished a Ubisoft open world game since Assassin's Creed Unity. So a long time ago. And that's the thing. I recognize the...
Wait, what about Far Cry 5?
Did I finish that? Yeah, I finished that.
Yeah.
Far Cry, I don't even think... It's weird. It's like Far Cry, I forget, is Ubisoft a lot of the times. Yeah. I'm always thinking of like their third-person open world games. But Assassin's Creed, notably, as much as I've loved the changes that have come to the franchise with Origins and Odyssey especially, I just have not invested more than like 5 or 6 hours into either of them.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if Valhalla will be a different story. I'm kind of jumping ahead to Assassin's Creed, but
yeah, you are.
Legion. I think this is a bad sign. We were watching it. I thought the game had already come out. Honestly,
yeah,
I had no idea it was still in development.
So,
positives from that. Some of it, London definitely looks cool.
It does,
like futuristic London,
and they've sort of like tried to recreate sections of London in the game, which is cool.
Yeah, London looks cool. I like the idea that you can take on any number of characters and. I don't know what the goal is. Like you're recruiting people to your hacking team. Dude, we're gonna hack you, dude.
Yeah, you're recruiting people to take down the big bad.
Yeah, I think the big bad's called Albion, which I was hoping would be a nod to like a Fable Easter egg. And then I got even more excited when Phil Spencer jumped on the call later in the stream. I was like, oh, maybe it is an Easter egg, but I think it's just coincidence. So Albion's the bad guy. You're a bunch of hackers and you're doing Watchdog stuff. So I'm probably going to skip that if I'm being honest.
I don't know what it is about Watch Dogs 2, but like it does not intrigue me at all. Like I didn't play Watch Dogs 2. I know everyone got Watch Dogs 2 if you had your account linked to the stream on Twitch. You just get the game for free on your Uplay account, which is cool. But even then, I still don't want to play it because the game just doesn't intrigue me at all. Like I remember playing the first one and I was like really intrigued because it seemed like it was going to be a next gen GTA with hacking in a sense, and I thought that sounded kind of cool. And let's be honest, there wasn't a lot of things to play at the time when the consoles launched, and this was one of those first games that came out that like. And I think this was before GTA 5 was available on the new consoles too. So this sort of like filled that void in a sense for some people, including me. But at the end of the day, it just was a bad game, Watch Dogs 1. So, you know, I and because of that, like I took those thoughts into 2, and you know, I just wasn't ready to jump into that mess again. And then with 3, like I think the fact that you can recruit people and like you can pick who you recruit is kind of cool, I guess. Like you're building your literal team, but at the same time, I don't know. Like it doesn't interest me. Like I'm having a hard time explaining why. It just looks more of the same, right?
Yeah, that's what's kind of sad about Watch Dogs, I think, is that Ubisoft opened the generation with Watch Dogs 1. It was meant to be like the big bad, like next gen title at the time. Mm-hmm. And then you compare it to Legion, which in all fairness, I have not played yet, so it's not entirely fair of me to say this, but just from an outsider's perspective, looking at what they've shown us, it looks like the only leaps they've made have been maybe some of the mechanics and the world is more detailed and larger, whereas the gameplay is not all that innovative. Yeah. And that was one of my few gripes with Last of Us. As much as I enjoy the gameplay, it was not much of a leap from 2013's gameplay. Yeah. And I recognize that you can totally John Wick it with Ellie and Abby both. I've seen the GIFs, I've seen the videos online that are incredibly awesome, but from a mechanics perspective, it's more or less the same. Mm-hmm. Which again, like it's confined to that world they've established. It's a different discussion, but Watch Dogs in particular, I'm like, you can drive vehicles, you can hack stuff, you can shoot bad guys with nail guns now. I guess that's kind of new. Mm-hmm. I mean, at least it's a new idea. Like you can play as pretty much anyone and recruit anyone. That's kind of unique. So, yeah. Again, I'm going to reserve total judgment until we see reviews, and even then, like if the reviews are relatively positive, I'll probably pick it up for myself.
Do you think they would ask you to review this game, and would you play it then?
I mean, maybe. I don't know what October looks like for me. Yeah. Depending on what my work situation's like, maybe I will. Okay. If I had a choice, I'd love to review Assassin's Creed, and it'd give me a reason to actually finish one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, Watch Dogs, I won't remotely say it looks bad. It just, like you said, it doesn't quite interest me just yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have anything else to add. I think we both pretty much feel the same about that one. So there was like a trailer for this game called Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, and it looked like it was just a mashup of a bunch of big Ubisoft, or not Ubisoft, but like Tom Clancy game characters.
Yeah.
For example, like Sam Fisher.
Sam Fisher, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really understand what was going on. Like it looked like maybe you just go into missions and you get to pick who you want to play or something.
I don't know why, even without gameplay, obviously it looks like Fortnite, which is one thing.
Yeah, the art style.
I got a like an XCOM vibe from the way they presented the trailer, how a couple of the characters were behind cover, and then Sam Fisher stealthed his way into the compound to do whatever he was doing. I don't know why I got that vibe. That could be what it's like, but it very much seems like you described, like the Avengers of Tom Clancy characters coming together for missions. So certainly a fun idea with the art style and bringing those characters together. I just don't know. Did they go into further detail of what that game was, or was it just the trailer?
I honestly don't know. I don't know. But like something that I've always had a problem with Tom Clancy is that because all their worlds are just so realistic, like nothing really stands out. Like if you take all these different characters from those games, like maybe you would recognize them because they're wearing something different, but for the most part, they're all just real people.
Like military gear on.
Yeah, in military gear in real life scenarios, you know, like they're all just defending against terror organizations or something, right? Like, I don't know. when I play games, I like to escape, and I don't like to think about like realism and the real world, and like all their games are just based on like, what if these things happened? I mean, it's sort of like Tom Clancy books. They're what's the right genre? It's not like
espionage, military.
Yeah, it's all that kind of thing. So I don't know. That's never really appealed to me. Not to say that I don't like Tom Clancy games. I've enjoyed a few.
Yeah, but, I'm gonna look this up after the podcast just out of curiosity to see if any information has come out about it, because I do think the idea alone is on paper sounds pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And the only funny thing is like of all the art styles they could go with, they choose the one that looks exactly like Fortnite, which I don't know where. I guess the thought is like, well, Fortnite is huge and people will, and that's the problem too, is that it looks so much like Fortnite that I thought it was a Fortnite trailer at first. I was like, oh, they're bringing Ubisoft characters to Fortnite. Mm-hmm. But whatever. So, yeah. But on paper, I think it's a cool idea. I'm excited to see what it's all about.
Yeah. Next thing they talked about was I think I'm skipping one game. I think they talked about Valhalla a little bit, and it's coming to mobile, but we're not going to really touch on that. We did comment that we both like the art style of Valhalla. I don't think either of us have ever spent that much time.
That led us on a whole tangent where we were like, dude, I wish more games would take more creative liberty with their art style versus just hyper realistic graphics.
Yeah. Because I do think it does look cool. But there was like a sort of a highlight reel to commemorate, I think, 60 million players in Rainbow Six Siege. So that was cool. 60
million?
Yeah.
That's incredible. Good for them.
I hope it wasn't 6 million. Like, what if I'm just putting a zero on?
It's gotta, I mean, that's gotta be the most players I've ever heard of.
Maybe it's just accounts created. I don't know. Let's just go with 60 million.
Yeah, go big or go home, right? Even if it's not true.
But they
didn't
just
say a lot of players.
They don't think they announced anything. But then we got the Hyperscape open beta announcement. We got like a whole
very extensive sales pitch on please play our battle royale.
Yeah.
Dude, the stupidest part, which granted, like the art style is cool. Like I appreciate that. But when they have that dev that comes on and they're just talking about what the characters are wearing, like would these characters like wearing this? Would they enjoy these tattoos? I'm like, who cares? Why are we listening to this right now? Like, what does that have to do with anything? Like,
I'm trying to hype you up, man.
I understand talking about the art style and sort of like the creative direction, but those comments in particular seem so pointless to me.
Don't you care why a character has a tattoo at this certain spot and what it means to them?
Yeah, I'm far more interested in like why you chose this setting. Why did you choose?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk about their appearances, why did you choose this versus like, we think this is what they would like. Like, I don't care what they would like. I want to know why you made those decisions.
Yeah. Well, did you see like where the game takes place? It's like in a virtual world.
Yeah.
Like
that's why like the players disintegrate when they get killed and everything.
Yeah.
Like digitally disintegrate.
Yeah. Like, see, that is cool to me. Like, I think it kind of reminds me of Sword Art Online, even though it's not like a BR in the show. But
well, sort of. If you get killed in the game, you get killed in real life.
In the first season, yeah.
Is it not like that the rest of the season?
No, because they're always jumping into different like games in the show. So
okay,
yeah. But what else we got here? Then they jumped into Assassin's Creed Valhalla, coming out November 17th, 2020, which is not very far away from Cyberpunk, unfortunately. But one thing I will say is that I loved everything I saw from Assassin's Creed. Honestly, like. I think this was the one thing to take away from the show is that this Valhalla looks pretty good, in my opinion.
I think it looks pretty cool, too.
The setting looks great. There's the combat looks good. And the little, like, rage you can do on, like, they kind of, you pointed out that they sort of reminded you of Mordor.
Mm-hmm.
One of those games. Probably the latest one, right? Shadows of Mordor.
Yeah.
Which I haven't played, by the way. I've heard mixed things about it. But the game looked great. You have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm also like, I think the most intriguing part about it was the setting. Like, of course, the dense forests, the snowy mountains, the villages were cool. That's the thing, and thankfully, I can't remember who it was who pointed or mentioned it on Discord. I couldn't think of the word last week, but derivative was the word I was looking for. And of course, Assassin's Creed seems derivative of a few things, especially this one, notably The Witcher, the Mordor aspect, building up your village, sort of like Red Dead. So all those aspects, all of those features and all of those games I thoroughly enjoyed and were definitely highlights of those games for me. So bringing them all together in Assassin's Creed is nothing but a positive thing to me, regardless of what the inspiration is. So I look forward to jumping into this, and hopefully I'll want to play it to the end. I think what will encourage me to do so is the improvements to combat. I can confirm that I have heard that you can kill people with one hit with a hidden blade, but you have to hit it's like a mini game where if you want the critical hit, you have to hit it correctly. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. And the combat does look incredibly brutal and intense, which I'm down for. And I like how you can mix and match your weapons and your armor and your play style. So that's cool. And I think everything they showed looks pretty fun. So I'm definitely going to pick it up on the 17th.
So after the stream, there was this little gameplay snippet. I think you went to go get a drink while I was watching it, but they showed this part where so you literally travel around with your group. Like you have a squad of people that you sail around with in your boat. And you can literally just get out of your boat at any time and just go and raid a village, or anything that you see at any time. So you can just have these mini sieges where you just break into a place and take it over just anytime you want, anytime you see it on the map. So I just think that's a pretty cool gameplay loop. And there was also this other little thing that was really dumb. It was they described it as the origins of a rap battle. But basically, you go up to these people in your settlements and stuff, and they'll have the option to battle them in this Nordic speaking style.
I remember hearing about that when the game first was announced or leaked or something.
Yeah, but they showed footage of this, and it's one guy has this witty line where I think it's they're making fun of you. It's literally a rap battle where they're insulting you, and you have to combat it or play it off or throw it back at them.
Roasting each other.
Yeah, but you have to
Some old
pick
Nordic
the phrase.
roast, dude.
You have to pick the phrase that would make sense according to what he said or something. But it seemed cool, just a fun little side activity.
Was it a rhythmic type battle?
A little bit, yeah. They kind of rhyme,
Okay.
You play off what the person says to you.
So other than just that's kind of an interesting thing to have included in the game, it actually looked like the gameplay of that is interesting.
It's not really gameplay, right? It's just you're picking a response, right? You're just kind of.
What does it accomplish? Does it build your reputation or your relationship with these characters?
I don't know.
For example, in Red Dead, you have those optional missions of whether or not you want to go on missions with some of the side characters.
Yeah.
And while there weren't always necessarily gameplay benefits to those missions, it helped you understand and get to know the characters more personally. So when their deaths occur or something major in the story happens that involves them, you feel more for that situation, which I think is very effective. And again, Assassin's Creed goals may not be we want you to feel close to these characters. We just want you to feel as immersed in this Viking world as possible, which I'm also down for. I'm just wondering if there's more to the rap battles than just there are Viking rap battles, just because it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure, maybe it's a recruiting method, but honestly, I didn't watch it in depth enough to really, see what was going on and why you should do it. So the developers were talking at the same time. So maybe I just missed something. But yeah, I think that game looks pretty cool. And
closed out with the Far Cry 6 announcement trailer.
Yep.
Awesome trailer too.
Yeah,
I thought it was really, phenomenal.
Really cool. I think we're assuming that's a young Voss from Far Cry 3, right?
Yeah. Assuming Voss's original name or first name is Diego, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the assumption. I think that's a very cool idea if that's the case. And just based on this trailer alone, forgive me, I can't remember the actor's name. He plays a phenomenal villain, especially in Breaking Bad, of course. Mm-hmm. Soon to be on The Boys season 2 as the villain, which I'm looking forward to.
Yep. Really? He's going to be on The Voice?
Or The Boys.
Oh, The Boys. I was like,
you seen season 1 of The Boys on Amazon?
No.
It's pretty wild show. You should check it out. If you like Watchmen style superhero content, it's very similar.
I still need to see Watchmen.
The show or the movie or the graphic novel?
The show.
Okay.
I've seen the movie.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen the first few episodes of Watchmen. I hear it's amazing. I just haven't finished it.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning it, and that's how I heard about it.
Dude, actually, one of the actors who plays one of the main cops on that show came to SCAD during my last quarter and did an acting class. And my cinematography class just attended because we could.
Yeah.
And it was pretty interesting to hear him talk about the production process of that show from his perspective. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, Far Cry 6, of course, everyone wants to see gameplay, myself included, but I do think Far Cry's trailers are often very effective. And I'll never forget Voss's trailer with the Insanity trailer from the original Far Cry 3.
Yep.
So this was just as effective in introducing the villain I'm already totally invested and want to know more. I want to know more about Diego. And I think the setting sounds awesome just based on what I read, that it's a tropical setting. It's much more aligned with Far Cry 3, which
I think that's when Far Cry is at its best, honestly.
In a tropical setting?
Yeah.
I agree. That will forever be my favorite setting was Far Cry 3. I mean, I liked Africa and Far Cry 2.
I really didn't like Montana or wherever the 5 was. I did not like that.
Yeah, that got old to me pretty quickly. It was cool to see it come to America, but even Kyrat, I can't remember. I guess it was like the Himalayas sort of. Had its moments, certainly, but the tropical setting's my favorite, so I'm pretty stoked for that. But really cool trailer, though. So, February 18th, 2021.
Yeah, that's a good time. That's usually when Far Cry's have been coming out,
Yeah.
February. So, if there's a chance of me playing it, it's at a good time. So, if it was coming out in the fall, I wouldn't play it for sure. Let's move on, though. Speaking of Ubisoft, we're going to jump into some negative news.
Well, before we do that, I got to say one negative for me, huge disappointment, is that we did not see anything from the heavily rumored, to me confirmed at one point, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. Where is it? Yeah. Hopefully at their next Ubisoft Forward, we'll actually see something if it does indeed exist.
Maybe this guy lied to you.
Maybe that guy lied. Maybe he misspoke. But he said to me, the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. Like, how do you mince your words on that one?
I don't know, dude. I do not know.
We'll see.
But this was reported by Deadline, and people have been talking about it over the last couple days. But apparently 3 high-ranking executives have stepped down at Ubisoft, and I assume that they were made to step down because they had some allegations of sexual misconduct and toxic culture throughout the company. Chief Creative Officer Serge, I cannot say this name.
We struggle with these French names.
I know. Escote is resigned from his position effective immediately. He will be replaced in interim by Yves Guillemot, Ubisoft's CEO and co-founder. And then it says here, Managing Director of Ubisoft's Canadian studio, Yannis Malat, and Global Head of HR, Cecile Cornette, will also be resigning effective immediately. And let me read Yves Guillemot's statement here, and then we'll actually talk about this. But he says, Ubisoft has fallen short in its obligation to guarantee a safe and inclusive workspace environment for its employees. He continues to say that he is committed to implementing profound changes across the company to improve and strengthen our workplace culture. Moving forward, we will collectively embark on a path to a better Ubisoft, in my expectation that leaders across the company manage their teams with the utmost respect. So, Garrett, lots of changes coming in Ubisoft, I guess.
Yeah, it should be a good thing. I know the assumption is that this leadership will lead to drastically different games. At least that not the vast majority of Ubisoft games will not be just open world action experiences.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I do enjoy Ubisoft open world games. I just haven't finished many of them aside from Far Cry 5 in the last few years.
Yeah.
But I would like to see, if you're going to stay the course, challenge the status quo with this new leadership. Specifically with Assassin's Creed, I'd like to see what they can do beyond what they're doing currently. I mean, in all fairness, that the series has drastically evolved over the years. To the point where it's unrecognizable from the first one, with the exception of the inclusion of blending into crowds coming back to Valhalla. So that's very nostalgic, which I appreciate. But I'd like to see what new leadership would lead to. I mean, they're seemingly doing well. I mean, all of their games sell well. Siege is a huge success. Assassin's Creed continues to be very successful. Same with Far Cry. I think Watch Dogs, this will be the final test to see if anyone has any interest in Watch Dogs. I know Watch Dogs 2 reviewed pretty well, but I never hear anyone talking about Watch Dogs 2. So that'll be the final test. But what do I want to see from Ubisoft? Only 2 things: Prince of Persia and Splinter Cell. Is that me holding the company back? Probably, but I'd like to see what they can do with existing franchises I love and take them in new directions. Even though I do want that remake from Sands of Time, I'd like to see a rebooted, linear, narrative-driven Prince of Persia title one more time to see if there's any interest left and to see if anyone can do anything interesting. And of course, Preston and I just have, especially Preston, have an affinity for Sam Fisher, and Splinter Cell, and I still believe there's profound potential for that franchise, especially with all the stealth titles that have come since. They could, again, in a good way or bad way, be derivative of all the great stealth titles that have come since that franchise launched and put their own spin onto it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But in general, I'd like to see some new ideas come to the company, gameplay-wise.
I'm with you. I think that's my biggest problem with Ubisoft is that all their games just feel the same to me. And they're definitely not the same. But because of like this, the games that they make and like they're all pretty realistic in my opinion. So they all just kind of blend together to me. And I never really get excited because they all just kind of, it's just another one of this kind of game and it's another Assassin's Creed, and they're just doing the same thing over and over again. But I would really love it if Ubisoft sort of just took a step back and like really tried to refine and define like what this game needs to be and how it's different from their other games, I think. But that would probably make me a bigger fan of their games going forward if they were to do something like that. But like I said before, I am really excited about this Assassin's Creed from what I saw. It's definitely on my radar when in years past, the other Assassin's Creed haven't been. So, they're doing something right there in my opinion. But
definitely,
I think more work needs to be done too. Moving on. Do you want to jump into the Microsoft story or do you want to do our fun one?
Oh yeah. Let's jump into that real quick. We won't dwell too long because granted we forgot to prepare, but we'll just go off the dome, man.
Mm-hmm.
Battle Royales continue to pop up all over the place, and thankfully many of them are solid. Like I think the only truly bad Battle Royale was what's that Cliffy B game that came out? It was something so dumb. What was it called? Like Super Stoked or Wild Dogs or something really dumb like that.
I'll find it.
I can't remember the name of it.
It's not Lawbreakers. It's Radical Heights.
Radical Heights. That's what it is. That's the only truly bad one that I know of. I know there's some smaller scale ones that have kind of tanked. I know there was that like medieval, like fantasy battle royale that came out that I completely forgot the name of.
Was it that like magic one?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called.
That was like Spellbreakers?
Spellbound?
Spellbound.
No.
Yeah.
Is it Spellbound?
Yeah,
that's not a battle royale, is it?
I think so. Now I gotta look that up.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Wait, hold on.
I'd say the vast majority of the shooting, like FPS or third person, whatever it may be, battle royales have been pretty solid.
Spellbound's a movie.
Okay, never mind. Forget it.
And Spellbreaker is not the game, so I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think each battle royale in their own respect have features I enjoy. Whether I'm good at them or not, like Fortnite, for example, the building mechanic, although it was not the original intent of their game, has certainly made their battle royale entirely unique. And like, there's nothing that compares to Fortnite in terms of the way that game is played.
Yeah.
Warzone I love just because it's those beautiful, silky smooth Call of Duty mechanics in a battle royale setting. Yeah. It makes total sense, and it functions beautifully. You're in and out of matches. It's wonderful. Yeah. And the 200-player mode is just total insanity. Love it.
I feel like it sort of built on Blackout, too. It's their first iteration of a BR.
Yeah, and much of the same can be said for Apex. I mean, the characters and world they've built on their own are already really cool, but I still believe Respawn makes the best feeling first-person games by far.
Yeah.
At least when it comes to shooting, like, absolutely phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think my biggest problem with Apex is that the game doesn't perform that well. Like, it just seems like it doesn't run as good as it could. Like, when you play something like Warzone, it's so buttery smooth and perfect. Then you like I jump back into Apex, and it's just like, sometimes you'll have really terrible servers where you just start lagging and you're delayed all over the place.
EA servers, bro.
And it's just a joke sometimes.
I wouldn't know. I haven't played enough to experience too many technical issues, but I don't know why we're reiterating the things we like about current battle royales. But that being said, we sort of want to pitch original battle royale ideas we'd like to see. Whether we're building one together or coming up with our own ideas, we're going to take a few minutes to sort of brainstorm what we think would be kind of cool given everything we've already seen. And this conversation was sort of spawned off of last week when we started talking about Hyperscape, excuse me, which I've yet to play. I'm sure I'll get around to it at some point, but that's kind of what spawned this discussion, because while it does look like it's pretty solid, it doesn't look all that original. So what would we like to see, Jacob? You want to kick us off?
That's a good question. Do you want to go with something bold like, swords and like melee weapons for a BR, or do you want to stick with like long range weapons like a gun?
Well, this is your game, man. You pitch it.
Oh, I thought we were collaborating on something. No?
I mean, we can collaborate if you want. We can be a little 2-man studio.
Yeah, it's your call. I mean, if I'm going to have my choice.
Here's a question. Do you want to come up with an original idea in the sense of like, it's a property that doesn't exist, or you want to go with an existing property, like a Marvel property or a Star Wars property or DC, like something like that?
Now we're talking.
Or do you want to do something that's just totally off the rails?
I don't know. Like, because we could just like make a Star Wars BR if we wanted to. Like, where we just have, or are we just going to focus on lightsabers? Are we having a giant lightsaber arena battle?
That's the thing. I think that would be...
Is that not original enough?
So dumb.
What?
But the only reason I say that is because Jedi Outcast 2 has pretty intense multiplayer where you're just hitting each other with Nerf swords with your lightsabers. And I remember there being a fair amount of players in those multiplayer matches, and it was just... I mean, it was entertaining, but it got pretty dumb after a while.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine...
We've seen lightsabers in Fortnite, and it just, like, whenever people just start swinging at each other, it just becomes like a big mess. Everyone's just, it's just chaos.
So I think we do need to do shooting mechanics.
Yeah.
And to make it more unique, we will not do first person, because the majority of battle royales now, if they don't have a first person option, are pretty much in first person. So let's go third person. That'll be our perspective.
I like that. We're competing directly with Fortnite then.
Okay, that's fine. And I guess PUBG is traditionally played at third person.
Yeah.
Not that anyone even talks about that game anymore.
Yeah. I feel like Warzone definitely swallowed its lunch.
Yeah. If Fortnite hadn't done it already, Warzone and Apex definitely killed it.
Yeah. Rest in peace. But yeah, like, what kind of setting do we think we want here? So we've decided on guns. That's all we've decided on so far. Do we want this to be like a sort of like a hyperscape, like city setting, or are we like trying to focus more on something like, more open, like on an island, like a Fortnite clone, or like what do we think it here? Like, what do we want our environment to be, or like what's the gameplay based around?
I mean, ideally, the more diverse, the better. I mean, I understand from a geographical lens, it would not make sense if you have both a snowy area, a desert, a forest, a swamp, and like all on the same island. So let's think of the one that has been least explored. We've seen villages and mountainous hills in Apex. We've seen mostly just rolling hills and, I guess, houses in Fortnite.
Yeah, well, they have like a bunch of volcanoes and stuff, and they have like snowy portions, and they have like deserts on their map. Like, Fortnite does a lot of that stuff. They just throw it all in on the map at like new updates.
Okay.
Change them.
I haven't kept up to date, so I wouldn't be sure.
Yeah, so they do a lot of that stuff, but they just throw it all onto one map, right?
I think the worst part about Warzone is its map. Not to say it's poorly designed, but it's just not visually interesting to me.
Yeah.
It just looks like another military battle royale. I wish they'd done something a little more creative.
I think the more creative you get with the map, the better it is.
Well, one thing I do want to include is that regardless of the geography of our map, I want different, like Hunt Showdown, I want different, like Hunt doesn't do this, but this is what I want, different weather effects and different times of day that are on a cycle.
That's a good idea.
Random. So that way, every time you play, even if it is the same map that you can update over time, it could be early morning, it could be sunset, it could be full on night, it could be a foggy day, it could be a rainy day, it could be a blizzard day.
That's cool.
So every time you're playing, not only does it look different, but even those weather effects may make gameplay encounters a little different every time.
And what if we had some sort of way to like literally change the map when it snowed? Like, if it's snowing, you see snow built up on the ground.
And like, for example, if it's a blizzard or if it's a really foggy version of the map, let's say there's like an infrared scope or something that normally on like a sunny day in the map you wouldn't care less about, but that may be gold to you on one of those maps. So that way you're kind of searching and hoping you find different items when you're looting.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
I think we've already like shot ourselves in the foot, Jacob, because to pitch a really good battle royale, there's so many layers to it that we're overlooking. Like, you really got to think about how do we want to manage inventory? How many weapons can we carry? Yeah. How many players are on the map? Like, those questions like take some serious thought to be thought well.
I don't think we need to like, literally come up with what we need. But I think if we like just touch on those things.
Here's kind of a fun idea. What if the inventory was sort of based off of Resident Evil 4, where you're sort of playing Tetris with your inventory?
Yeah, like really limited.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even necessarily limited per se, but it's made in a way where you're sort of literally playing Tetris with your items to make them all fit in your case.
Like you can't carry too many big items because you won't have space for like healing.
Exactly. Like if you want to carry 100 grenades, you can do that, but you can't carry any rifles.
Yeah.
So
no, I like that. I think that's a cool idea. Like, what if we? Yeah, but like, so would we have grenades? Like, do you think you want like guns, grenades? You want some way to heal? Do you want armor and shields in this game? Most BRs have armor and shields.
I think yes.
And like, how many kinds of guns do we want? Like, do we just want like the whole arsenal of military ops? Like, what are we talking here?
I think what makes games, at least battle royales that I preferred thus far, have included not only just a series of different weapons, but attachments as well. That's what I liked about PUBG. It's what I like about Warzone, is that I can carry. Well, granted, I guess Warzone doesn't do that because you're always picking up pre-made weapons. You don't get to like pick up different attachments.
Yeah, you can drop your loadout, right? And you can pick what you want on your gun. So, like I think what I like most about Fortnite is that you literally are just picking up guns that are already like preset. Like every gun that is that type of gun is. It's just
like
gun.
a certain status, like it's and like rare, I think, common or legendary or whatever.
Yeah, I think like all these games that like where you pick up attachments and you sort of like build your gun. I think that's getting a little too muddy in the water. I think like the simpler looting is, the better it is. And like I think if you also like, I don't know, I just really like how Fortnite always has like rarity of guns on the map, but they're like, and like I think that's what they do. They'll change the rarity, but they'll add maybe an attachment or maybe just some guns are a different rarity. I don't know. I don't play enough Fortnite, but I think how they do their guns like in your loot in that world, I think that works really well. And I think like it's easier to create a meta around that and like figure out what's good, what you want to be looking for, just by like looking at the color of like a drop or something like that. Because I think if you just start adding a bunch of attachments, like you're having to like focus more on like what's on the ground, what do I need to go get? Do I have a magazine yet? Where's that scope that I need? I think that can really muddy the waters. And I feel like you want more of the focus to be on like looking at the field in front of you and, looking for other teams to take on, as opposed to, instead of like going towards the team that's right in front of you, you're like, oh, I really need to go find a site. So let's go over to this building real quick. Like, I feel like it would be funner if you were more focused on the gameplay as opposed to looting. I don't know if you share that sentiment though.
No, I feel that way because I do feel like in most battle royales, I'm so concerned about looting as much as I can that I focus less on like the moment-to-moment combat experiences, and I focus more on like, oh, look how many cool items I have, and then I'm dead.
Yeah, it's like you spend all this time like loading out your gun, and then you could just die, and then it's over. Like you just wasted your time.
Yeah. So shut me down, Jacob, if this immediately is uninteresting to you.
Okay.
This is again coming from my obsession with Hunt Showdown. But what if we take a drastic turn here and include all the ideas we've just discussed, but we make it a Star Wars bounty hunter battle royale, where the goal is you have your own custom bounty hunter, and going into matches similar to Hunt Showdown, you outfit your bounty hunter based on playstyle. Let's say you can wear heavier armor, but your movement speed is slower, or maybe you have better stability with the attachments on your weapons. But maybe let's make this decision first. Do we want to pick our loadout before we go into a match and maybe we can still loot some stuff along the way? Or do we want to go in with no weapons, which doesn't make total sense as a bounty hunter? Maybe we go in with just like a handgun, one little blaster, and then we can pick up weapons as we go.
That's what I like.
So then maybe instead of focusing on weapons in the pregame lobby, you're focusing more on like your bounty hunter in particular. Because you got to remember, bounty hunters bounty hunt too. Like think of the Mandalorian alone. He hunts for upgrades to his armor, his weapons, blah, 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 blah. So that should be the focus is like, I want to outfit my bounty hunter. The only problem is how long is that sustainable? Like, let's say, I guess if there's prestige, you can unlock maybe you can unlock and recruit different bounty hunters from different guilds that have different loadouts initially. You can customize them accordingly. And maybe there's a perk system and there's prestige, so you can start over.
Or maybe you could go at it in a sense where the looting is like, maybe you do go into a match with, a preset loadout. Like, let's just say that. And then instead of like looting guns, maybe you focus on finding upgrades to your jetpack. Like you can fly longer if you find this upgrade, or you find the attachment for like you find a grapple hook on the field and you can use it to like, pull things towards you, or like pull enemies towards you. I don't know why you would want to do that, but I'm just trying to think of like, things that bounty hunters use. And like, what if you could just find their tools in the field, and that would enhance your gameplay at finding them? I don't know. Like maybe you just have guns going in.
Yeah, maybe
is that too limited?
No, I mean, maybe, for example, you could choose, I want my bounty hunter to be equipped with a jetpack, or I want to be equipped with a speeder. So when I land on this planet for this mission, I have the advantage of jetpacking above my enemies, or jetpacking to like a higher level of an area.
Yeah.
Or I can use my speeder to get around the map faster in general. Mm-hmm. Things like that could be cool. And I'm thinking the overarching goal could be awesome if you land on, and let's say in our battle royale, we're going to have a number of planets. Maybe Coruscant, you get your city feel with a Coruscant map.
Yeah.
You get the Tatooine feel with the desert. Maybe we do, what's that tropical setting from Rogue One?
Like the beach setting.
Yeah, like just in general, like different planets that you can go to that all, of course, continue to have different weather effects. But the goal is all these bounty hunters land on this planet with the main goal of you're hunting one particular target. And you discover that either by, and I wouldn't want to go the hunt showdown simplicity, the simplicity of hunt where you're just finding clues on the ground. I think it'd be cooler if you have to do a series of like side quests for people, like side bounties that sort of reveal clues to where your main target is.
Yeah.
And maybe you get a better reward for taking your target alive, or you can kill them. You just get less experience. But the further shtick, which again is ripped off of Hunt Showdown, is you can escape with them dead or escape with them alive, and based on if you actually survive and get your target out of there, you get different rewards based on that accomplishment. And
what
that's
would the
where
rewards
it comes
be? How would we reward people that play?
That's what I'm wondering. Like, of course, what Hunt does is it rewards you with medals, it rewards you with currency and perks that you unlock as you rank up.
Yeah.
So you unlock perks, you unlock currency.
What if that's how you got new armor? Like, what if that's how you got plates to make new armor pieces? Sort of maybe like how Halo lets you customize
maybe you invest
your
your plates, like your currency, into building new armor.
Yeah. And like you could change like different, you get different metals, different shades. Maybe that's how we would go about letting people customize their bounty hunter.
Yeah, and maybe like the grind aspect that could be fun is if you want to unlock this particular signet on your helmet or your armor, or if you want to join this particular clan, there's like different sets of objectives to complete, like daily challenges, weekly challenges, and like long-term challenges. Like if you want to join this guild, prove yourself in this way in matches, and that's how you join that guild.
Yeah, then you could sort of like adopt their insignia and like get a paint
and sport that. Yeah,
that would be cool. You could like you could like literally join different clans or something. Then you could have some sort of like gameplay loop where there's clan wars or something, where you just go against people of the opposite faction, and like whoever wins that event for like a set amount of time, we could like reward everyone in that clan. Like that could be a cool idea.
Yeah,
if we wanted to go that far.
I think we could strip back our player base too, not do like 100 players. Maybe we did like, I don't know, 10 to 25 max.
Yeah.
But the world is inhabited by a bunch of NPCs, like gangs, thugs, maybe some smugglers, and like these people will attack you depending on what you try to do.
Like sand people.
Yeah, like NPCs you're gonna have to fight along the way that may stand in your way. And let's say the target is a Jedi, like a Jedi in hiding, or maybe he's another like a rogue bounty hunter, or maybe he's a smuggler. And like each encounter is sort of like a mini boss fight that takes you on a different style of adventure. Mm-hmm. Like maybe the smuggler tries to escape on a ship or a bike, and you have to chase after him and bring him down.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Jedi like has obviously a lightsaber, which makes it a harder fight.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a mob boss, like Jabba the Hutt, that has like a series of guards you have to fight through to get to him.
Yeah. What if we went even farther and had like some maps have really special events where someone like Darth Vader will just pop out of a door on a map, and if he like gets close to you, you die. Like you're just done.
Yeah, run for your life.
Yeah, like maybe something sort of like an evolve boss from that game.
Yeah.
Like you just have to kind of like tactically take him down, or like just avoid him altogether. And you could get people interested in that way because you could just tie in really iconic characters.
Yeah, that could be cool.
I don't know the best way to implement those though.
And of course, like the other players are bounty hunters, and you can kill them for extra experience, loot, and you can loot all their stuff they may drop. And,
could you team up with people and split the rewards?
I think that'd be kind of interesting. What if there was a prompt to, and that's the thing, it would all take a ton of play testing to make it work properly, but and like analyzing how people actually play the game. But it'd be cool if you either had a prompt to join someone and split the reward, or let's say an NPC, one of the random objectives they give you for additional experience and to have a clue to the boss is, oh, I want you to hunt down this other bounty hunter that's on the map. It's like another player, kind of like Warzone, put bounties on people. Mm-hmm. That could be cool.
Maybe even the best way to do it would be to, like, that's how you would explain, like, pre-game lobbies, right? Like, if you go into a match with 4 or 3 other squad mates, you got a group of 4, you, like, go into, like, some sort of negotiation where you're like, we'll each get this amount of cut, depending on, like, the jobs that we need to do, maybe. Or maybe you don't even need to get that in depth. You got 4 people, you split the cut 4 ways, and, you know, you each get a certain amount of reward. And then, like, you, like, sign a contract or something, or however these agreements work, and you go to this place and you play the round, the Battle Royale. Mm-hmm. Maybe it could be handled like that.
Yeah. I understand the challenge, too, is that people want to play with friends. And, like, bounty hunters traditionally will be loners.
Yeah.
But you can do
We've seen exceptions in, like, duos. The Mandalorian, though.
Or maybe you can recruit, like, I think I've always wanted this in Hunt, that I think it'd be cool in any Battle Royale to make, not that it's necessary to make the pregame lobbies, and especially in Hunt where you're actually like building a loadout, make it more interesting and immersive, where instead of just it being a series of lists, in our case, you can go into a cantina and it's like you can physically walk around in it and like talk to different NPCs. Maybe like you can recruit NPC partners to kind of go on missions with you, kind of like in The Mandalorian. He has I can't remember the droid's name, but he has that droid in a couple of episodes. He has a couple other characters he teams up with.
Yeah,
maybe you can recruit different sidekicks, and then maybe even when you load out your guy, you like walk into a particular part of the cantina and like outfit yourself based on that. Maybe you accept missions from the guild that's in a different part of this area.
Yeah, just so to make sort of mean like a Destiny 2 space, like a tower.
Sort of.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything where you stay there like it's spending 20 minutes at a time. It could be like at most 5 minutes where you're just kind of making your quick changes and you go back in.
Yeah.
But I've always thought that'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I actually like the idea of this.
So I think it's very derivative of Hunt Showdown and Battle Royale in general. And it's kind of also inspired by my bounty hunting game pitch I made years ago on this podcast. But I'm still waiting for a really awesome bounty hunter game. And I think blending it with Battle Royale could be pretty cool too.
Yep. See, like another attachment you can find in the field is like a flamethrower. Imagine like not knowing that your enemy has a flamethrower because you haven't found one yet. And you just you approach him trying to do something cheeky, and he just burns you alive. Mm-hmm. Like, that would be fun to use.
In our case, it wouldn't be grenades; it'd be thermal detonators. So you could load out your bounty hunter case with 100 thermal detonators, or you can carry a sniper. You can carry like an assault blaster, like a handgun blaster, maybe like a blaster shotgun.
Mm-hmm. You remember those like detonations that Jango Fett used to try and kill Obi-Wan in those rock fields in the second movie, I think? Maybe it's the third one. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, like what if they could find some way to incorporate those in the map? Like, I don't know. I have a lot of nostalgia for that noise when it went off when I was a kid during the movie. So like, what if you could incorporate something like destructive like that to a map, like in the middle of a match? Like, I don't know if any engine could handle that. But could you imagine just like the map changing in real time and like you're in the middle of a match? Because I don't even think Fortnite does that. Like they have like preset lobbies where like the event happens, but I don't know if you like play the game while the event's happening. Like everyone's just sort of there watching. I don't know if there's combat enabled, but I think that would be cool. Some sort of way to like just change the map like real time.
Yeah. And I understand, too, Battle Royale is meant to be kind of like a jump in, jump out scenario, but maybe we could just, to be even more fresh, like this isn't really necessarily focused on being as efficient as possible. Like maybe you spend upwards of half an hour in some of these matches. I've played Hunt matches, dude, for almost an hour before I finished them, which I've always loved the pace of that because there isn't necessarily like an inherent rush. Like you could stop in this match into a cantina and not see a player for 10 minutes because you're talking to NPCs about where you can find your target.
Yeah.
And think about like just the music of Star Wars in general, how you would like enter a match and be sort of that like somber, hopeful sounding Tatooine type music. And by the end, when you're escaping with your target, it's like upbeat John Williams score. It's like thrilling when you're getting out of there.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, in a dream scenario, you'd have to get in your ship and fly to space and have like a space battle with the remaining players, but we won't go that far.
You load into a new lobby in Star Wars Squadrons.
Yeah, exactly. But I think initially those are pretty fun ideas for a Star Wars bounty hunter battle royale.
Yeah. I actually had more fun discussing that than I thought I would. So.
Yeah. That is our original, not entirely original, derivative battle royale game.
Yeah, I think that actually worked out better too because we both like teamed up for it and we both had contributing ideas instead of like each of us trying to like on the spot come up with 2 unique ideas. So I enjoyed that. So our next story, Microsoft Xbox Showcase will be on July 3rd or not 30th, 23rd. Yeah, and it's going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific on July 23rd. We already know that 343 is going to be there talking about Halo Infinite, and it's almost guaranteed we'll see gameplay. We've got to at this point. But I basically just want to hear what you think about what are you expecting from the show, Garrett? Do you have any predictions? What do you think is going to be there? What are we going to see? Are we going to see more? Are we going to learn about more of the Xbox? I would assume so. But let's hear what you got. What do you want?
I'm reluctant to fantasize too strongly about predictions at this point because I feel like the last several conferences or announcement type videos at this point, I've hyped up for myself. I've been let down.
We're trying to E3 everything, and it's not getting to those hype levels.
I mean, honestly, my only hope, even knowing that 343 is presenting Halo Infinite gameplay, is that it's more than just a 5-minute demo. Like, I want some very in-depth descriptions, explanations as to what this game is all about, more so than just an action-packed Halo demo.
Yeah.
Of course, being a big Halo fan, I am incredibly stoked to see what they've been working on. It's been a long time since Halo 5, and I'm hoping that the lessons they've learned from 4 and 5, which I don't believe are in any way, shape, or form bad games, they just were not. That's the thing. I don't even know what I was looking for in a continuation of Halo 3, but there were aspects of gameplay in both 4 and 5 that I did appreciate, and many aspects that I did not enjoy as much. So I'm hoping those lessons they've learned along the way has contributed to crafting the perfect Halo game from 343. Yeah. And the rumors are it's open world. There are rumors that, I think that's the only rumor, honestly, is that it may be open world. But it's also a soft reboot. Apparently, it's somehow still a continuation of 5, which I thought was a totally disastrous campaign. I don't know how they plan to do that while it's also a soft reboot. I have no idea. Great title. Love it. My only hope from gameplay, in particular from Halo Infinite, is that they're not going to do Battle Royale, which just makes too much sense in Halo. I would hope they would take the same scale of players and do gigantic big team battle with Halo, which I would love even more as a fan, because big team battle has always been one of my favorite aspects of Halo. And imagine, at the very least, 50 versus 50 with Halo vehicles capture the flag on a gigantic map. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I get the idea that they might do that. Honestly,
I mean, I certainly hope so. Why would they not? If they have the capability to nowadays to make a battle royale, if Call of Duty can make a battle royale, why can't Halo do it? You know?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I necessarily want that. I would, if I had to pick a battle royale or gigantic big team battle, I would 100% go big team battle. More so than just your 8-on-8 or like whatever. I think it was called Warzone or something in Halo 5, where it had a larger player count. But I want some gigantic Halo battles. It'd be cool. Yeah. And the other rumor is that they will present Infinite, and then immediately a beta will be available, like an open beta. That would be incredible.
Yes,
hey, that would be amazing. So I'm hoping that's true. In terms of predictions, I still don't know if we're going to see Fable, because I feel like something would have, at the very least, slightly leaked at this point. I know the rumors that Playground's working on it. It'd be amazing to see a racing simulator developer make a fantasy action RPG. I would be really blown away if they pull it off.
I bet you we get a trailer.
Especially if it has the charm of Lionhead, because Lionhead, especially under Peter Molyneux's leadership, had a very particular charm and sense of humor, which was wholly unique to Fable. There's nothing else like it. And I believe that's a result of Peter Molyneux and the developers of the original 3 games.
Yeah.
Didn't love 3, but 1 and 2, especially 1, are like have a very special place in my heart. And it's a shame. You'd think Xbox would have capitalized on this years ago because it is their unique RPG fantasy experience. They've totally dropped the ball on for many years now. And that's why people jokingly say, which in many ways is fair, that all Xbox has is Gears, Halo, and I guess Forza. But when I think of Xbox, I immediately think of Halo and Gears, which in all respects are great franchises, but have not evolved much over the last decade.
Yeah.
So Infinite Big Hopes, Fable. Think about Fable too, man. It's like, what would they do that's new? But
what if they did
Fable.
a whole new art direction? Like, what if they realized it, or it's a little more real? Like, what if they just completely abandoned the old
that would
cartoony
be
style?
Incredibly disappointing to me.
Yeah,
because that's a huge part of what I admired, and even Fable 1 was more cartoony than Fable 2 and 3. Like, I would almost hope they'd go back to that.
Yeah, you want it to be more cartoony.
Like sort of exaggerated character models and exaggerated architecture in this fantasy world. I love that so much.
Have you ever played a Dragon Quest game?
No, yeah, I'm familiar with Dragon Quest, but
like, do you mean sort of like that? Because I don't know how Fable 1 looked. So
sort of, yeah, it's more like not necessarily like looking like an anime cartoon, but it looks more like exaggerated. For example, like think of this isn't a good example, but Gears, like their shoes look gigantic.
Yeah.
Like in Fable, for example, like a building, instead of being like a perfectly straight structure, it'd be kind of like curved.
Okay.
Almost like fantasy-like. So it had like really unique art style. It kind of like, honestly, like World of Warcraft is very similar.
Oh,
especially the first one.
Yeah.
So I would hope they would double down on that art style with the new Fable.
Yeah.
And the thing is like they've always had new mechanics that sort of make it unique. Like in the second one, you could you had your dog companion. At the time was really awesome. Of course, you could get married and have kids in the game. You could move your house all around and decorate your house, and of course your loadout. And like I have so many crazy stories from Fable. Here's like one quick one: is I got married and had kids with this woman, and then I did a mission where I got stuck in prison for like literally 10 years or something like that. And I come back and she's like, "I'm leaving you." And I was like, "It wasn't my fault. I didn't know it." And she's like, "Sorry, I'm gone."
Well, at least she stuck around just to tell you that she's leaving.
I know. She was waiting for me when I got back, so that was really upsetting. I had another family in a Fable 2 playthrough where I came home and goblins had killed my family.
Yeah.
And that's after that playthrough, I literally moved my family into a realm that couldn't be touched by the outside world. I found the secret wall that I opened and moved into that realm. So they were safe. So
were they safe or captured?
Yeah, they may have been imprisoned by me, but they were in a beautiful meadow and a beautiful home, so I hope they were happy.
There you go.
But little things like that, like what new mechanics could they bring to Fable that I would like to see? I don't know.
I don't know. I've never played it, so.
Because we've played Witcher 3 since then. We've played Elder Scrolls games, and not that Fallout is any way, shape, or form like Fable, but just open world RPGs in general we've played since then. So what would I like to see that Fable could do that's brand new, aside from just the quirky art style, you know?
Was it always an open world? Is that how Fable is?
No, Fable 1 had like little hubs, but it was not full-on open world.
So I imagine it'll definitely be an open world, if it's a thing.
Yeah, I think Fable should remain in an open world. I think. I mean, I haven't played Fable 2 in a long time, and I definitely have not played Fable 3. I don't even remember anything from Fable 3 aside from just being able to hold people's hands. and you were king of the city, and you had like a vault that showed you how much like gold you had accumulated.
Yeah.
So interesting ideas, but it was a big letdown with Fable 3. So I don't know what they could do next.
You think we'll see more Hellblade 2? Think we'll see some gameplay?
I think it's about time to see Hellblade 2 gameplay. It's been a year since they announced it, so or not.
Yeah, I think they announced it at the Game Awards, right?
Game Awards this past year.
Yeah,
right?
I think they showed that with the reveal of the console.
Right. I know they said they had acquired that studio before they announced the game, right?
Yeah. It's one of the studios
at E3 last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's about time we'll see gameplay from that.
Yeah. I'm not really that excited for it, but it's just what I think we'll see.
Yeah.
You think we see any more about like the Xbox Series X? Like maybe the price? Will we get that or some more features?
Unless they're going to continue playing this waiting game, I think we should. I mean, someone's got to announce their price first. I mean,
no. I think Xbox is less scared to announce theirs. I don't know. Sony seems hesitant.
I think they should. I think it'd be nice if they did.
Yeah. What about, is there any chance we see the Harry Potter, not MMO, but RPG? Do you think we will see that at this show? Or are we getting
question.
like a WB show, do you think?
I've heard we are getting a WB show, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure Preston told me that. I could be totally wrong, but I think the Summer Gaming Fest with Jeff Keighley, we're getting something from WB. Mm-hmm. I would expect to see it there, but if they want a larger platform, I mean, if we're being serious, as much as I enjoy like the Batman games, I can't really think of any other WB properties I'd like lose my mind over aside from Harry Potter. So you'd think that if they want a larger platform to announce their game, it'd be at Xbox versus like a WB showcase, but I mean, I'd like to see Harry Potter and Batman as soon as possible. I don't care where they announce them. I just would like to see them.
Yeah.
So,
what else? What else do we think? Any chance that Call of Duty makes its home back on Xbox, or do you think they stay on PlayStation?
No, yeah, definitely not.
Yeah,
yeah. If it was struggling on PlayStation, absolutely. But PlayStation is still very much thriving. So
yeah, and I think people are expecting PlayStation to continue their success trend, in terms of. Well, I guess Xbox doesn't really release their numbers anymore, their units sold. So it'll be hard to really gauge who has sold more without some insider reporting, I guess. But I don't really have anything else to really speculate on Xbox. I am really excited about the show, and I'm counting down the days to July 23rd. It's a few days before my birthday, so maybe it'll be a nice little birthday treat.
You will be 28, is that right?
That's right. Cool. On Monday the 27th.
Nice.
I'll be an old man. I'll be officially an old man, 28.
Yeah, that's the specific number that dictates.
That's the number right there.
Whether or not you're an old man. I'm trying to think of anything outside the box that could throw us off.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have to be something like seeing a new Batman game, or something we wouldn't expect at all.
That's the shame, dude, about Xbox is that it's great that they've acquired all these new first-party studios, but the majority of what I would expect from Xbox is third-party.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what we've been trained to expect.
Exactly. That's what I want them to remedy over the next console generation. Is we can look forward to not only Xbox announcements being great games, but first-party titles in particular. And that's why I like, all jokes aside about the footstool thing and #NotFanboys. We would be more drawn to Xbox if they had stronger exclusives versus the ones we already do like, which is Gears and Halo.
Yeah. And
those who enjoy Forza, that's a big exclusive for them as well. I don't think I'm overlooking any gigantic first-party Xbox games, am I?
Nope.
So
really.
If they, of course, we're waiting on Fable, but if they could really remedy that over the next console generation, then I would undoubtedly admire Xbox as a brand, not necessarily the console, but the brand as much as I revere PlayStation. Yeah. And that's only a result of the investment PlayStation has made in their first-party titles and their exclusives. So that's what I'm hoping Xbox, this is a trend that, it's not even a trend yet, but like acquiring these studios will be the launch of a much greater generation for Xbox going forward.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Next story. Sony reveals the PS5 Physical Box Layout. Garrett, have you seen this image on social media?
I have.
Okay. Well, let me tell you about it then. Sony revealed what the physical boxes for the PS5 games will look like in a blog post on Thursday, using the upcoming Spider-Man Miles Morales as an example. While they look a lot like game boxes, there are still a few interesting design details to note. Sony will once again sell games in a blue case, similar to PS4 games, but the PS5 cases are a slight darker blue, and that seems to match the blue accents on the PS5 console and controller. And the PS5 header at the top of the game label is white and black instead of blue of the PS4 header, also matching the design of the PS5 hardware family. So I think it looks cool. I just wanted to mention it. It's not really a big story, but
well, we can talk about it. I actually do have some thoughts.
Sure.
I think it looks awesome. Like, I really, really like it a lot.
Yeah, you like it a lot?
And I was unaware that it was a darker blue from the PS4 case.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen mock-ups of what the case would look like if it were clear or black, which I do think those mock-ups look cool, but I actually really admire the blue a lot because I just associate blue so strongly with PlayStation that I think it's cool that it remains.
Just like you do with green with Xbox.
Exactly. And I think the white header looks so cool. I think it's just beautiful, simple PS5 black and white with the blue case. I think it's just a really cool look.
Yeah.
So I like the blue case personally.
I do too. I kind of wish I guess I like it that they're the same size as the PS4 ones. I don't really have a preference there, but I do wish the whole case was maybe clear like they used to be on the PS3, I think. I think that would maybe look good with the new black header for the PS5. But I don't know. I would have to see it.
Yeah, I think the blue. I mean, the white already helps it pop off a shelf, but I think the blue helps it even more. And you can also like delineate like very clearly, aside from just the white header, like that's definitely the PlayStation section at a GameStop because it's all blue. There's all the green. I will say though, more than likely, one of these cases will never live on my shelf because I plan to go fully digital the next generation. So
same, yeah.
I love the look of the cases, but I probably will not own one. So.
Yeah, I need to save some space. Okay, I don't have room for all these cases.
I still think it would be cool if like the icons of your like library on the PlayStation interface, or like it's like a physical cabinet or something, or like you actually see like versus just the art squares we have currently. Maybe it just shows the case of the game. Like then you kind of get the best of both worlds. Like you see the case, and then but it's digital.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. We got one more story. Sony. Speaking of Sony. They acquire a minority stake in Epic Games for $250 million, Garrett. And I'm going to reference an IGN article here written by Matt Kim. And a few points that he made were Sony has acquired I'm not going to read that again. Epic's powerful. This is a quote from CEO Kenichiro Yoshida, Sony president. And he says, Epic's powerful technology in areas such as graphics places them at the forefront of game engine development with Unreal Engine and other innovations. There's no better example of this than the revolutionary entertainment experience of Fortnite. Throughout our investment, we will explore opportunities to further collaborate with Epic to delight and bring value to customers and the industry at large, not only in games, but also across the rapidly evolving digital entertainment landscape, Yoshida added. And then Tim Sweeney has a quote here. He says, Sony and Epic have both built businesses at the intersection of creativity and technology, and we share a vision of real-time 3D social experiences leading to a convergence of gaming, film, and music. Together, we strive to build an even more open and accessible digital ecosystem for all consumers and content creators alike. And then there was like an update on the 10th after the story was written. And Tim Sweeney clarified on Twitter that serious investment discussions began after the event, or after the Unreal Engine 5 event. So basically, Sony saw this event, the same thing that we did, and they wanted to make a major investment into Epic. So they were impressed by the demo just as much as everyone else was. So do you think this potentially leads to anything, Garrett? Sony giving so much money to Epic Games for future technological endeavors. Do you think this ever would encourage a Sony exclusive Epic game, maybe? Or is this just strictly, to better the industry as a whole? I don't really know myself. I just want to hear what you have to say.
I mean, the only thing I really understand about business is that it really does come down to money. So this is all with the idea, I imagine, of like how can we make our endeavors even more lucrative.
Yeah.
And my assumption is that, of course, with the inclusion of Epic's technology with the Unreal Engine, it's Unreal Engine 5, correct?
Yeah.
To utilize that engine more often. I don't know if they have it in mind for particular studios or if not all of their studios, but
yeah.
I imagine the investment is just, of course, to remain in a close business partnership with Epic to ensure that their technology is more easily accessible, probably even more affordable after that $250 million minority stake.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend I understand business and investments and collaboration in any way, shape, or form, but I assume it's so they can utilize Epic's technology more easily. And of course, it all comes down to money. So I imagine long term, they imagine this will lead to better sales, possibly develop games better.
Yeah.
I know our first assumption was that possibly Bend will use Unreal Engine 5 for their Days Gone follow-up or whatever they decide to do next. So I don't know how they plan to utilize Unreal Engine 5 if that's all we're talking about, but it seems like a positive thing to me. And I don't blame Sony for wanting to invest because that demo is still very impressive. Yeah. And it was running on a PlayStation 5, as we know. So
sure. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on, their relationship and see what comes of it. We'll just have to see. But yeah, definitely a big lump of money from a big company. So that's all our news this week, Garrett. Would you love to ring us into the Ask IOG questions, my friend?
Oh, yeah. Ask IOG is the part of the show where we answer your questions submitted through any of our socials at ItsObviousGaming, the Ask IOG section of our Discord channel, or email to us at ItsObviousGaming@gmail.com, and always include the hashtag AskIOG if you want your question read live on the show. Isaac Clark opens it up and saying, from most lucky WoW mounts, Hunter Jacob, what's your opinion or reactions toward the sad news of Reckful passing away? Reckful used to be the largest streamer on Twitch and the most popular WoW rogue player. He's always a positive figure not only in WoW but also streaming communities. Do you support the idea that Blizzard should build permanent in-game monument NPC to memorize him?
Is that the whole question?
I'm gonna chime in for just a second.
Okay.
I think that would be too much, because if you idolize someone that much, I feel like, I could be wrong about this, but anyone suffering from severe depression or battling thoughts of taking their own lives, in may some morbid sense feel encouraged to do so if they believe, oh, maybe I'll be memorialized or a monument will be built for me in a game. But then again, like, Reckful obviously had a platform. He was extremely popular because of the game, so they wouldn't obviously do that for everyone.
Right.
But it may, like, I could be wrong, but from first glance, it seems like it'd be sort of like glorifying, like, yes, you're celebrating the man's life, but I feel like if you put up a permanent monument of someone, you could be glorifying them for in a negative way. But that isn't fair to say, because think about, like, there's statues of Martin Luther King Jr. and his life was taken, but he didn't kill himself, so there might be like a fine line between what warrants like a particular statue. I don't know. It's interesting too, because there's like many, I know this is like a virtual monument we're talking about, but many monuments and statues are being ripped down as we speak.
Right.
So I feel like there's a fine line between who you build a monument for. And I understand like many of the monuments being torn down or have to do with like racist individuals from the past. Sure. So that's a different conversation entirely, but that's just like my first take. How do you feel about it?
No, you bring up a really good idea, or a good point. I mean, I didn't really think about it in that light, honestly. I think you're right. I don't know if I would necessarily put a memorial of him in the game. Other people have mentioned like perhaps putting an NPC that maybe looks like him to a certain extent in the game. That's another option. But you're right. Like what if someone just wants their, like, this is like an extreme example, obviously, but like someone just wants their, they want to be in the game so badly and they would like do anything to do it. Like, and they would just go to these extreme, drastic, things that could potentially just ruin your life. Like, even like if you don't, like, killing yourself, like committing suicide, like, should that be rewarded? Like, I'm not saying like he didn't, like, he shouldn't have done it. Like he did it because he felt like he had to, like, right. That's why people commit suicide. Like the sadness in them is so great that they don't know what else to do and they just do it. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I support putting a statue of him. Like, is it not just enough that we remember who he was and make sure not to forget it? Like, we'll just continue to celebrate, who he was and, like, share his story and, like, hardships whenever someone else goes through something similar. Maybe, I don't know.
It gets complicated too. I think it's personal to the individual, because I wouldn't dare speak for anyone else mourning the loss of someone. For example, like, people appreciate gravestones because they feel like they can go to someone's gravestone and speak to them in a way. Yeah. Whereas in my own life, especially people I've lost in my life, and I imagine losses that are inevitable for the remainder of my life, they're sort of like, I remember them internally. Like, if there were a monument per se, it resides in my heart versus needing like a physical location or a physical place to remember them. Because I feel like if someone truly means something to you, if you truly love them and mourn them, like, their memory lives on in your heart. But I do understand like the need for some people to have like a physical,
a reminder,
a physical reminder. Yeah. So it's difficult to say.
Yeah. I guess I don't know the answer to your question, Isaac, but we actually did talk about it last weekend on the podcast. If you missed that one, we cover the story. So if you want to hear a little bit more on the subject, assuming you haven't already listened to the episode, definitely check out our last episode. It was probably like midway through the show. It was one of our later stories.
Also timestamps for that too, if you just want to jump to it.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. What's our next one?
Next one comes from Carlos Perez. Writes in and says, I forgot to ask this, been asked before on the show, but are you guys a pineapple on pizza guy? If you guys are not, where do you draw the line with fruit on pizza? Would you guys try oranges on pizza? Apples, mangoes, watermelon? It's funny you say watermelon. I was just thinking that. If you say no to all, why only draw the line at pineapple?
I think you're making a big mistake even throwing any fruit on your pizza, Carlos. Like, what are you thinking?
I'm of the mindset that pineapple doesn't belong in pizza, but the thing is, to be totally fair, I was talking to Preston about this recently, because Preston does believe pineapple belongs on pizza. I think that's
why he's not here, Garrett.
The great debates of our podcast always have to do with food, oddly enough, on this podcast.
We should just have a food podcast.
Which goes to show we should have had a food podcast at the beginning, because our discussions are far more interesting because we just argue about everything. But to be fair, I have not tried pineapple on pizza since I was a very young child. And to also be fair, I had it at Cece's Pizza. So if you know what Cece's is, it's a pizza buffet that, as far as I know, only exists in Georgia and may exist elsewhere.
Garrett, as far as I'm aware, COVID could have came from Cece's Pizza. As far as we know.
I used to love Cece's Pizza, but in reality, it's very cheap buffet pizza. And me having cheap buffet pineapple on pizza is probably not the best experience. So I imagine it like a killer pizza joint, or maybe even like a Papa John's or your Pizza Hut's pineapple on pizza may be pretty good. So it's not fair of me to say that it doesn't belong on pizza, because I haven't tried it since I was at least 7 or 8 years old. Yeah. So it's hard for me to answer. Right now, since my last experience was bad, I'd say no. But when I try it at some point in the future, I'll circle back and let you know. But I wouldn't dare put any other fruit on my pizza. I'm already reluctant about the pineapple. I get the elevator pitch. It's sweet mixed with the tangy, or like the zesty of the pizza. Like, I understand that's the combination you sort of admire about it, but it's just like, I imagine the juices seeping into the cheese and sauce. I'm like, I just ain't about my fruit juices.
But Garrett, you're also the most vanilla pizza eater out there. Like, you go with pepperoni.
Well, relatively. I will do pepperoni. I will do pepperoni and sausage. I will do pepperoni, sausage, and bacon. I'll do supreme pizza. I'll do cheese pizza. I'll do...
So you don't put veggies on your pizza?
No. Like, sometimes I'll mix it up and do like peppers, banana peppers, bell peppers. Okay. Like I said, I'll even do supreme sometimes. Okay. But I just don't, I know this sounds so weird. I've just never been a big fan of like chicken on pizza for some reason. And I also don't like weird sauces. Like, oh, this pizza has a ranch base, or it has like some weird sauce, like buffalo Alfredo sauce base. Yeah, like, get that out of here, man.
Hey, chicken Alfredo pizza is good. That's where the chicken's good.
Yeah, leave me alone, man. Get out of here. That is a chicken Alfredo noodle dish on bread at that point. So pizza to me is ideally marinara sauce, but tomato sauce, if not marinara. Yeah. Preferably marinara with cheese and then your toppings. But get that weird sauce crap out of here. Like, don't get me wrong, I will dip my marinara pizza in another sauce, but I don't want the base of my pizza to be any other sauce. But
so you don't want a chicken barbecue pizza?
Again, I've told Preston this as well. I will eat that, but I don't get stoked about it like I do like a traditional pepperoni pizza.
I understand.
Like, I'm a simple man, and most of the things I enjoy in life are very simple.
Yeah.
Call me boring if you must, but that's the way I roll, man.
Going back to fruit on pizza, I was just memeing earlier. I think pineapple, like a Hawaiian pizza, a good Hawaiian pizza with ham, pineapple, that's good. It's pretty good. It's not my first choice. I would much rather have just a pepperoni or like something more traditional, but I don't think it gets enough credit. I've sort of like changed my mind because I had a good one recently. I was like, this isn't that bad, you know?
Dude, I don't know if I want pizza tonight or Taco Bell. It is Sunday, so it's kind of like my wild night of the week.
Nice, dude. I had Taco Bell for lunch today.
Yeah, I wish I could share a pizza with you today.
I wish so too. I'm not driving to Atlanta again today, though.
Bummer.
Maybe sometime soon, though. This week. We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
but,
we'll talk.
Yeah, but definitely no watermelon, oranges. Like, Carlos, get out of here with that shit. We're not putting that on pizza, okay? You can eat them separately, but don't put them on the cheese and the dough.
Yeah, why not just enjoy a pizza and then have a side of pineapple?
Like, just have your side of pineapple for breakfast, and then for lunch, have your pizza. Like, there's no need to mix and match.
That's being like, would you like green beans on your steak, sir? Like, they come on the same plate, but would you like to apply them onto your steak? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Some psychopath was like, let's put the fruit on the pizza, dude. Somewhere in Hawaii, which I'm sure, again, could be delicious, and I could be living a very ignorant life right now, but I'll get back to you about the pineapple thing. I just got to be bold enough to order a pizza with pineapple on it. I wish someone would order it for me, and I could just try a slice.
Yeah.
I'm not about to drop a bare minimum $15 on a pineapple pizza. Get out of here.
There it is. Okay, Big Colt's question is next, and it's a direct reference to an image on Discord. Garrett, you shouldn't have any trouble finding it.
Is it an Ask IOG?
Yes.
Okay, there it is. Oh, yeah, I've seen this. Okay.
So it's a you can only pick one who you got, and there's 4 pictures. There is a Scooby-Doo gummy snack, the Welch's fruit snacks, then the Mott's fruit snacks, and then we got Kellogg's fruit snacks, which I've never heard of. So,
dude, side note, did you know there's Frosted Flakes with marshmallows now?
What?
Yeah, I almost bought it today, but I hesitated. I was like, I don't need that. I want it, but I don't need it.
I know where I'm going after work tomorrow.
Yep.
Well, what are you picking, Garrett? What's your favorite gummy out of those?
Okay, so I've tried all of these throughout my life. I love the Scooby gummies, but I think overall my favorite have always been Welch's.
Yes.
I think they're just the most fruity and flavorful out of all the gummies.
You're going to hate me, but I buy the reduced fat Welch's gummies. They're actually back here on my shelf. It's that blue box.
Are they still pretty good?
Yeah. Yeah, they still taste the same. Yeah. They just have a few less calories.
Nice.
But yeah, I'll just have one of those, every evening. I'll just be like, I want some gummies. So I eat them.
I want some gummies.
Yeah, I do prefer Welch's. They're tasty and delicious. So many good questions today. We're getting all these food questions. Psyching me up, man. Dude. What's our next one here?
I wish we were doing live shows so people could help me determine what I should eat tonight for dinner.
Well, people could write in. Maybe they'll give you a good idea for later in the week. You know what I mean?
Possibly.
Okay, this is a little bit of a long one, so bear with me here. This is Beto on Discord writes in. He says, "Hello, boys. Longtime fan. I once praised Jacob on Facebook and felt like a fulfilled groupie once he responded to my DM. Best day of my life." Oh, thank you, man. I wouldn't think that was the best day of my life, but thank you for your praise.
To be fair, I would freak out if you responded to me too, Jacob. In fact, when you do respond to my calls or texts, I do kind of have a bit, my heart skips a beat, so it's pretty exciting.
Hey, so you recently spoke about a new game called Crucible from Amazon Games, which I can't argue enough on its generic name, but what I can argue is that MOBA games have been long forgotten. I sincerely never played Dota, nor League of Legends, but I can say I played Paragon, which you all joked about for not being good enough for Epic Scope, which is probably true. But it is not on your state. It is not on...
What is not on your statement is that it is dead.
Yes.
Which it isn't, sort of. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to keep reading?
What? Don't even know where the place is anymore, Garrett.
Okay, since Epic Games releases all their MOBA's assets to the Unreal Engine 4 devs on 2018, the good news for the few dabblers out there is that Fault, the successor to Paragon, developed by Strange Matter Studios, is releasing on July 17th on Early Access through Steam. This brings me to my question. If your favorite multiplayer online game was deprecated, although content released to all devs out there, from which studio would you rather hope your beloved game got rebooted? Thanks for getting back to me on a weekly basis, or getting back to a weekly basis show. Much love all the way from Mexico. That is sick.
Nice, dude. Thank you. So,
from Mexico.
My favorite game, World of Warcraft, Blizzard just went bankrupt, and somehow they were able to sell the IP to another developer. I think I'd have to go with someone maybe like the developers of Final Fantasy XIV, or maybe ESO. There's not a whole lot of really popular MMOs around anymore, so I feel like my options are a little limited here. But those seem to be like the two other good standing MMOs at the moment. We have a couple new ones coming out. There's one called New World from Amazon, which actually got delayed this week. I was originally going to put the story in, but I cut it because I didn't really feel like it would lead a very good conversation, and I'm really the only one that knows about it. So we just didn't talk about it, but. That's another one coming out, and then I think there's one more coming out it's something else. But I guess like Final Fantasy XIV is probably the next competitor to WoW, so I would probably feel best if they took over the reins of development if I had to pick someone else in this scenario. But what about you?
Well, obviously,
what's your favorite multiplayer game? Hunt?
Hunt is presently my favorite multiplayer game. If it could go to any developer, that's tough. Man, I think it falls. I would say Ubisoft with like the wing that develops Siege because they're most similar. I mean, not really at all, but like the slow pace of those games is very similar.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Hunt is that it's a shooter at its core, so it could really go to any competent shooting developer.
Mm-hmm.
So it could wind up at Treyarch, it could wind up at Infinity Ward, or what am I thinking of? Ubisoft. So is there anyone I'm overlooking, like in terms? I guess 343, but it could really end up in anyone's hands. That's a competent shooter developer, and I'm sure it'd be fine. Yeah. So what it really comes down to is what that game, how people value that game, because it is not even remotely a traditional battle royale or shooter experience. It's very unique in many ways.
Yeah.
So it'd have to go to a studio that values what it is and either build upon that or maintain what it is. Because if it went to another studio and they just radically changed the game, which would be dumb, I would hope it would just go to a studio that values what it is. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I think you mentioned like maybe we downplayed Dota and League of Legends. Maybe you're not. I'm rereading your question now, and I don't think you said that, but I don't think we meant to discredit like MOBAs as a whole. Like clearly Dota and League of Legends are still two of the biggest games in the world. Obviously not Paragon anymore, or if it ever was, but MOBAs still definitely have a spot. But I think it's like as time goes on, it's harder and harder for these new games that are trying to break into established genres already for them to really pop off, I think. Where we really see like big things explode, or either from really big companies, or it's like a brand new genre or a new idea, like a battle royale, for example. But yeah, thank you for your question, Pito. And we got one more, Garrett. You ready?
Let's do it.
It comes from Bear Commando, and he says, "Hey guys, as a new console generation begins this year, what would each of you recommend as your top games from the previous generation?" I ask this because I missed the Xbox One and PS4 generation. I played my 360 thoroughly, but throughout college played Dota 2 with my roommates almost exclusively, 3,500 hours. That's impressive, by the way. And didn't touch the current console gen. Now that I've been out of college for a while, I don't have as much time to play games. I just got a Switch and played its big hitters like Breath of the Wild and Mario. When I do have time for more games, I just revisit my comfort games like Halo or Skyrim. So, what is your recommendations on the best games I've missed? T-rated or very mild M only, please. I'm not into extreme gore, sexual content, language, dark stuff. Thanks. So, I guess what are our favorite games from Xbox One and PS4?
Okay. You've probably, all of you have heard us beat these games into the ground over time. But if you don't want like hardcore gore and intensity, I'd say from PlayStation, Ratchet and Clank is huge.
Yeah.
So good. Spider-Man, amazing. Mm-hmm. That kind of eliminates a few big hitters from PlayStation, like God of War, Last of Us, Bloodborne.
I still implore you to play God of War, though. Like it's, in my opinion, it's hands down my favorite PS4 game.
Yeah, that one isn't. I mean, it's definitely intense, but it's not as like visceral
it gets a little bloody,
like Last of Us or Bloodborne, for example.
Yeah.
But those three I would avoid if you don't like the gore and intensity. But if I had to pick two from PlayStation, it'd certainly be Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank. I think I'm forgetting something. One sec.
I don't even know what I would put on Xbox One because it seems
there's
like
a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we got Halo 5.
Also do Horizon. Horizon's amazing, and it's not. I mean, it's a violent game, but you're fighting robots, so it's not like bloody or intense.
Yeah.
Uncharted 4 it has blood, but not to the point where it's like, holy crap, this is super violent. So Uncharted 4 is awesome. Lost Legacy is great. Yeah. I've heard mixed reactions to The Last Guardian. You may like that. I loved Shadow of the Colossus, but I've never played Last Guardian. So, Persona 5, dude. I haven't even finished Persona 5, and I can say it's one of the best. Definitely.
That's a good one. Yeah, Persona 5 is really good. And it's T-rated, or maybe it's M-rated, actually. I don't know.
Yeah. On Xbox, I hear both Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori of the Will of the Wisps are phenomenal, especially the sequel.
And they're on PC.
Yeah. So, notably, most of these games are also on PC for the Xbox side. I heard Sunset Overdrive's pretty cool. Never played it, but Spider-Man is amazing, so I assume Insomniac's Sunset Overdrive is pretty cool. Sea of Thieves, if you like pirates, was initially shallow. I've heard that game's evolved in many positive ways. I have not played it since it initially launched. I reviewed it. I think I gave it a 7.6 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10. Definitely was fun for a while, but it got old very fast. So I cannot vouch for what it is now. But if you like the idea of a fully open world pirate adventure with, again, a really fun art style, which is something I really appreciate, that's out there.
Definitely play that with other people. I don't recommend jumping into that alone.
Yeah, if you don't have anyone to play with, it is truly awful. Don't recommend that. Quantum Break is not too. I think that's a T-rated game. That's kind of a fun game. At least from what I remember, I think I liked it, but I could be wrong about that.
I would not play that game today. There's no way I would play it now.
Well, that's the thing. Like, would you play it with like the knowledge you have now, or like if you did not have the knowledge about it that you have now?
Well, I think there's too many distractions now. There's too many games out. Like, I think part of the reason why I played it back then was because we were just itching for anything new. Not that it didn't look interesting. Like, I thought I would really like the whole like TV show / game thing, like interchanging as the game went on. But I don't know. It was just a mess, in my opinion. The story was okay overall, especially the last boss fight. It was awful. I remember how much I hated it when I did it.
And I didn't love the gimmick of the live action cutscenes either.
Yeah,
it's a cool idea for actors, but it
seemed like they got in the way of the game. You know?
Yeah. I
don't think you want to get through the game, but you have to watch the show.
Yeah, wasn't it intended to be like a show in addition to the game?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I know that was like that other like weird.
I think
it wasn't a battle royale. That other game that was like the tagline was "Play the game, watch the show." And I remember Preston played it for a while.
That was
convinced himself.
Defiant.
Yeah, convinced himself that it was awesome.
Yeah, he tried to get us to play it too.
Yeah. Cuphead is very unique in terms of its art style. It's absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. I was very bad at the game. It's a very difficult platformer, but art style alone, that game's enjoyable, in my opinion. I think that's more or less what it is. I mean, Titanfall 2 is a shooter, but it's not too violent. Titanfall 2 is an awesome campaign. Even if you never played multiplayer, it's a great shooter campaign. So those are probably from this generation, just based on like these lists I pulled up of stuff that I may have forgotten.
Play Witcher 3. It's not exclusive, but play Witcher 3.
Yeah, it's not remotely violent or sexually grotesque in any way, shape, or form. So definitely play that one. Yeah, I think that's pretty solid list on both ends. That's amazing to me that you have not experienced anything from this generation, because there are some really amazing titles.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of good games.
Especially for PlayStation. Like, that's not necessarily a knock against Xbox, but PlayStation absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Hey, Xbox contributed too. They gave us a place to rest our feet.
Yeah, exactly.
So
hopefully they end strong. Granted, no, Infinite's primarily a next generation title, but it's playable on the current gen. So I feel like in some way, shape, or form, you could say it's closing out their generation as well as launching the next generation. So
yeah, like Breath of the Wild in a sense.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. I see that. Well, Garrett, I think that's our show. How do you feel?
I feel pretty good, Jacob. This is it was a good discussion. I think you and I covered some solid topics.
I do too. I think we handled the reins quite well. I think it was a entertaining listen.
Yeah, Preston was missed, but we hope he's having a wonderful time at the beach, and we look forward to having him back.
For sure. Don't we have like a closing thing? I don't even know what we do anymore.
Yeah, just, if you're wherever you're listening on this podcast, it's available on many platforms. Of course, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, which, side note about YouTube, I am no longer doing our Zoom call edits because they take a lifetime to edit and no one watches them, which I totally understand. I don't even watch video podcasts, but it's a huge endeavor that's a gigantic chunk of my time for editing. So what we're going to do now is the podcast will be available on YouTube, but all it's going to be is just an image, because it's not worth editing if no one's going to actually click on it at the very least. So YouTube version does exist. If you prefer to just at the very least listen to podcasts on YouTube, that is still available. And of course, many other services, including Google Play, Stitcher, and a few others that surprisingly people do use, but it's very minimal. So those are out there. Of course, join us on all of our social media on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and especially Discord at ItsObviousGaming to connect with us there. And as always, we just greatly appreciate you tuning in and sharing your thoughts when you do, whether it's on Discord or in the comments on YouTube, whether you email us questions on Facebook, wherever it may be. We appreciate your support and your interaction with us. And we're just grateful to continue doing the show because we still love doing it. We love video games. and we love you guys. That's it for me, Jacob.
Yep. Thank you, Garrett. Thanks for your closing thoughts there. Everybody, here's a little homework assignment. Let us know what you are most looking forward to from the Ubisoft Forward show, if anything. Honestly, I wasn't into a whole lot of things, so I get it if you weren't into any of these games. But I think Assassin's Creed looks really cool. So if maybe we could get some questions about Assassin's Creed for next week's show, that would be really cool. So, just give us some feedback, leave us some questions for next week, and we hope you come back for the next episode. So thank you for listening.
Yeah, that maybe throw in some Xbox predictions or something too, or something you'd like to see that we may have overlooked.
Yep. Yeah, we'll have one more show before the Xbox show, but yeah, please do.
Cool, brother. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that'll be it from us. That was 239. We'll catch you again very soon.
Thanks. Had a good time chatting with you, Garrett. I'll see you later.
Likewise, brother.